Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 28th of April and I welcome you to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, let's start with the video. In today's video, we are going to discuss the entire analysis of Hindu newspaper along with all the articles, their background as well as way forward. Now, first of all, starting, I would like to tell you that you can download the explainer notes of this entire session from our Telegram channel. Link for Telegram channel is given in description box in YouTube. Now, starting up, so guys, first of all, let's see the overview of the newspaper so that we can understand that actually which articles are important in the today's newspaper. Now, first articles, here we see that IED, that is improvised explosive device planted a day or before. Now, recently, guys, we have seen that in the Bastar there was the attacks that have happened. Okay, then side article ties depend on peace on border Rajnath to China. So guys, we have seen that since 2020, there is the standoff going on between India and China on the line of actual control. And in this particular capacity, it has widened up recently. China has also issued the Chinese name of the places in Arunachal Pradesh. Now, this is something where China is showing a kind of an over adventurism. So India has made this particular thing very clearly that the peaceful talks, fine, and meaningful talks can happen if there is a peace on the border. Then further moving on, coming to the city section, former DU ad hoc teachers found dead months after he was removed from the job. Okay, then Aam Aadmi Party's protest and all these things. So political regional issues, you are not required to go too much in detail in these particular articles. And I tell you many number of times, guys, that largely the regional section will be different in the different editions of the Hindu newspaper, and very rarely some important and relevant news comes here. Okay, so moving on again, we have these advertisements, fine political news, okay, etc. So we will directly be moving and this Metro Plus page is there, not containing much of relevant substance for our UPSC CSE exam. Now coming to the editorial page. So first article, not by Vande Bharat alone. Now this article is talking about that Vande Bharat Express has been introduced in many parts of the country, but we need to look about a greater reform in railways. We'll take this article. Then side article, mindless violence. Now this particular article talk about the recent Maoist attack that has happened into the South Bastar. We'll take this particular article. Darwin must stay in Indian school textbooks. We'll take this particular article also with respect to the exam. Killer mafia. So guys, recently we have seen this particular thing that there was attack by the sand mafia in Tamil Nadu, where one of village administrative officer was killed. Now, article is saying that such attacks by sand mafia are not they are not very rare. Quite regularly, such attacks have happened in Tamil Nadu as well as in other parts of the country. Now, whenever the sand mafias are challenged, okay, they basically try to retaliate back. So government needs to give a befitting reply. Government needs to have stringent policy actions. No tolerance should be there in such kind of cases. Moving to next page, should India consider phasing out nuclear power? We'll take this particular article also with respect to the exam. Now guys, this is a notebook article. In the notebook article, the reporter gives some account of their own personal account. Fine, not very much important for the exam. Text and context, the threat of rising sea level. We'll see this particular article as what it is talking about. Then moving to the next article. Now this is the limelight article. Okay, the rash of remakes of South Indian movie by the Bombay film industry. So guys, this article is talking about this thing that now Bollywood is what it is doing. Essentially, it is repacking the South Indian movies. Fine, and this is something which shows a kind of a lack of imagination and all such things. But for example, no need to go in this particular article. Okay. Further, moving on, India sends a third ship INS Tarkash to Port Sudan for evacuating citizens. So we have seen recently already in the previous days newspapers, we have seen that government of India has started Operation Kaveri. Operation Kaveri will help in evacuating the Indian citizens who have been struck in Sudan. So right now, the opposing military factions within the Sudan, they are fighting each other in order to control the dominance in Sudan. Okay, and many of the Indian citizens have been struck there. Okay, so now the INS Tarkash will be sent there to evacuate people. Okay, then here we see this article, Dimasa rebel group signs peace pact with center Assam government. Important article, we will see this. Law Ministry notifies judges appointment in 4 high courts. Now, guys, please don't track this thing, okay, that these judges are now to be appointed in high court, names of the judges and all such things, because that is quite a regular and routine thing that happens throughout the year. Then further moving on here, soon Indian Army to raise cyber operation and support wing. We'll see this particular article. Then after that, moving on in this particular direction, ready to play facilitator to push government to ease concerns of same-sex partners. So, guys, now every day at least 1 or 2 articles on this same-sex marriages are coming, because I tell you every day this thing that now Supreme Court is hearing the petition that whether the same-sex couples can be allowed to get married or not. Okay, so every day commentary, arguments, counter arguments come. Please don't track this development every day, because when the final judgment will come, we need to see the final judgment, and after the final judgment, obviously many editorials will also be written on both the sides. So till then, no need to go too much in detail in this direction. Opposition leaders flay PM's remarks, say suicide is not a joke. Political commentary not important for exam. Karnataka polls 2023. Now guys, again the article is talking about the political trends. Fine. Now, guys, nothing is important for the examination. Okay, so the political stakes, political equations, etc., are being talked about here with respect to the different political parties. So you can skip it. Then, probe Khalistani extremism review panel urges UK government. So, guys, we have seen that in few days back there was a kind of a lot of nuisance that was created by the Khalistani protesters, Khalistani sympathizers. So that particular thing should be investigated. Okay, then further moving on, Sharif secures vote of confidence in Pak National Assembly, airstrikes, Pamel Khartoum as clock ticks on Sudan truce, developmental details, etc. Political article. No need to go too much in detail. Okay, then coming to the business page, Das urges lenders to continually assess risk, bolster capital buffers. So guys, right now we see that the world economy is in a strange waters. See, right now, post-COVID recovery is an important concern, but at the same time, inflation is also very much high. Growth prospects are very much hazy. Now, in this context, the lenders, the banks, the financial institutions, they should continuously assess the risks that might impact the banking system. Okay, they need to have adequate capital buffers also in order to ensure that they are efficiently leading their operations in this time of uncertainty. Okay. Then guys, we have corporate trends and all such kind of things. No need to go here. And after this, there is a sports page. So this is overview of entire newspaper so that you can understand that which articles are actually important for exam. Now, let's start with the relevant articles one by one in detail. So guys, in every class, we start with the GS quotation that you can use to complement your answers in GS paper numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 or in essay. So today we'll take the quotation from Barbara Jordan. So Barbara Jordan says, the only way to deal with injustice is to confront it, to expose it, and to create a climate of opinion which will not tolerate it. Now, today we see that at many levels, injustice prevails in the society. Injustice prevails when the poor people are not given their fair share. Injustice prevails when the people are being punished because they dissent the government or because they dissent the mainstream opinion. Okay. Now, whenever there is injustice in any form, that injustice is to be opposed, that injustice is to be exposed, that injustice is to be confronted. Okay, only then that particular injustice can be removed. And who is going to play a very important role here? Two people are going to play a very important role. That is an active media and active citizenry. If they both are active, if they can take a stand against such kind of an injustices, can confront it, can expose it, and can create a climate of opinion where such injustices will be questioned, then the true justice will come. So this is a prerequisite in any society. We can use this particular idea in GS paper number 2 as well as in GS paper number 4 ethics. Okay, now moving to the next article. Okay, now this particular article, again we have taken as from the Hindu newspaper. First of all, let's read the heading of article, then let's understand that in which paper article will be important, and then we will try to make sense of the article. So article reads, Dimasa rebel group signs peace pact with center Assam government. Now this particular article will see with respect to GS paper number 3, internal security. GS paper number 3, internal security. Okay, now Basically, guys, then when we talk about India, okay, there are many of the internal security concerns that we are having. For example, we see this particular thing that in the Jammu and Kashmir has been afflicted with terrorism from such a long time, and that terrorism poses a kind of an internal security challenge always in the region in Jammu and Kashmir and the surrounding regions. Then we see this particular thing that in the central India, Maoist activity has always been a cause of concern. Recently, the Maoists have attacked also into the South Bastar region. Because of that particular thing, it also becomes a kind of a big internal security challenge. And then when we go towards the northeast, in the northeast region also, we see that there are the many insurgent groups which are fighting against the state. Many times they want an autonomous state, sometimes they want an autonomous nation, or such kind of demands have been there. So these are a very big challenges of India's internal security. Today, we are going to talk about the Dima National Liberation Army. Dima National Liberation Army. Now, this Dima National Liberation Army, or DNLA, was a separatist militant organization. Militant organization means that they have resorted to violence. And this particular organization was very much active in the Dima Hasao district of Assam. Okay. Now, this DNLA has talked about that they want to create an independent state. They wanted to create an independent state for the Dima tribals, because they had put this particular thing that over the years, Dima tribals, their practices, they have not been safeguarded. So they want a separate state. And for that particular thing, they have carried a kind of an armed rebellion also. Now, what has happened? The DNLA, it has signed a peace agreement. It had signed a memorandum of understanding with the government of Assam as well as with the center. And under this particular agreement, DNLA representatives, they say this thing that we are giving up violence, we are surrendering our weapons, arms, ammunitions are surrendering. Many of the fighters of the DNLA, they have also surrendered, and they say that we are now going to disband. We are now going to disband our organization, and we are ready to join hands with the now we are ready to sign the peace agreement with the government. This is something that has happened. Now, first of all, this happens to be a great success for the government, as well as this also happens to be a important milestone in ensuring the peace and stability in the Assam region. Now, as the part of the memorandum of understanding, what all details have come out of it? See, first of all, the government has promised. Now, see this thing. What are the concerns of the DNLA? Their concern was that the welfare of the Dima tribes is not happening, their culture is not being safeguarded, their practices are not being safeguarded. So now the government has given them the surety that you please give up the weapons and we will create the Dimasa Welfare Council. Now this Dimasa Welfare Council will be set up by the Assam government, and this particular council will be given a special responsibility. It will be given a special responsibility to protect, preserve and promote social, cultural and linguistic identity of the Dimasa people. They will be given the political representation, economic concerns of the Dimasa people will be taken care of, their educational aspirations will be taken care of, all the opportunities that a person deserves in a welfareist democracy will be provided to the Dimasa people, and a special body, that is Dimasa Welfare Council, will be responsible for that. Moreover, this Dimasa Welfare Council will also be ensuring that there is focused development of the Dimasa people who are living in who are in this particular region, or who are even outside of the autonomous council. Now, guys, understand. Moreover, under now you might be knowing this particular thing. When we talk about the tribal areas in India, they are given special protection, they are given autonomy. Now, tribal areas in India, they are given special protection under the 5th schedule as well as under the 6th schedule. When we talk about the 6th schedule, in 6th schedule, Meghalaya, Assam, Tripura and Mizoram are included. So Assam is under the 6th schedule, and under the 6th schedule, there are the autonomous council that can be created. Now, this memorandum of understanding that has been signed between the government of Assam, central government and DNLA, it provides that there will be a commission that will be created under the 6th schedule to examine the demands for inclusion of additional villages around the North Chachar Hill Autonomous Council, within this council. So North Chachar Hill Autonomous Council is there, which has been given a lot of autonomy to govern on their own matters. Within the North Chachar Hill Autonomous Council, some other villages will also be included, so that those villages also get additional protection. Now these are the villages which have the Dimasa population, so they want additional protection, so they will be included under the North Chachar Hill Autonomous Council. This possibility will also be explored. Moreover, also it has been provided that a special developmental package of around 500 crore rupees will also be provided to the government of Assam, so that the overall development of this entire North Chachar Hill Autonomous Council can happen, Dimasa people's development can happen. So special package of 500 crore rupees will also be given to them. So all these are the developmental steps that have been taken. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about internal security, this happens to be a very big challenge to the stability development of India. And as step by step, these particular, now guys, you might be knowing, few days back with the Naga people also, the government has signed a truce agreement, though there are some problems that are coming with it. And now with the DNLA, we have signed a peace agreement. This is a success of the government of India, and you can use it as a successful case study that how we are succeeding in resolving our internal security challenges step by step. You can use it as a case study. So that is all guys about this particular article. Now one more thing I want to tell you guys, that beyond this write-up that we have given you, you are not required to track anything for this particular article, more than sufficient for your exam related needs. Now moving to the next article, the threat of rising sea level. The threat of rising sea level. We'll see this particular article with respect to the GS paper number 1, geographical phenomena, as well as GS paper number 3, environment, climate change, impacts of climate change. Impacts of climate change. We are going to see this particular article. Now, first of all, guys, in this particular article, you understand this thing that almost every week this kind of article comes in the newspaper, which is talking about how the climate change is impacting, heat waves are increasing, sea level is rising, rainfall patterns are getting disturbed, okay, extreme events are increasing. Now all these are the common manifestations of the climate change. Now what has actually happened, let me tell you. Now basically here we are going to see the reference of one particular report. Now you understand this thing, that these reports, sometimes committee recommendations, sometimes Supreme Court judgments, they are always important because they give a kind of an authentication to your answers when you are writing into the mains examination. So particularly in the mains examination, you need to authenticate your answer, so you can use the names of these particular reports, these particular references. They will increase the potential of your answers. Now what has happened, this report, that is the state of the global climate 2022 report, has been published. Now this particular report has been quoted by the WMO, World Meteorological Organization. It has been quoted by the World Meteorological Organization. Now this particular report, state of the global climate 2020, it says this thing, that right now we see that there is a sea level rise that is accelerating. Now see, sea level rise has been accelerating from past 30-40 years, but in the last 10 years or so, the rate of increase in the sea level has been accelerated. It is saying this thing, that there are the record breaking increase in the concentration of greenhouse gases. There is a glacial loss that is happening. Drought like conditions in East Africa has increased. There are the record rainfalls in Pakistan. Last year we have seen, because of that, flooding also happened. Unprecedented heat waves are coming in Europe, in China. Even the unprecedented heat waves are increasing in India as well. All these are the conditions which are happening because of the climate change, which is particularly because of the increased carbon emissions that have happened because of industrialization, because of our mad developmental activities that we are going on. Now, one important thing I want to tell you here, guys, is that how the sea level changes are actually observed. So basically, since 1990s, the change in the sea level, it is observed by using the satellite altimeters. Satellite altimeters. Now, what is this? Suppose this is a satellite. Okay, this is the Earth surface. Now, satellite altimeter is a specialized device that is fitted on a satellite. What it does, it sends the radar pulses. It sends the radar waves, radar pulses on the ocean surface. It will hit it and will be received back. Okay, now guys, obviously when it will hit the ocean and will be received back on the satellite, it will take some time. It will take some time. Now understand this thing, that if the sea level will rise, if the sea level will rise, the time that it will take to come back, obviously it will go down, it will reduce, it will take less time. So by observing the variations or the changes in the time that it is taking to come back, to receive back, we can calculate that whether the sea level is rising or the sea level is stagnant or sea level is going down. So obviously now the sea level is rising, so by the satellite altimeters we can measure this particular thing. Now please be very careful, such kind of thing can even be asked into the science and technology questions, into the prelims question, that what is the use of altimeter. Fine. Now when we talk about the sea level rise, why it is happening, you know this thing, that right now the concentrations of the carbon dioxide in environment has increased. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, so when the in solar radiations are coming, those solar radiations are absorbed, and by this the ambient temperature is increasing. Now guys, understand this thing, that this article is saying this thing, that when the temperatures are increasing, number one, it leads to the melting of glaciers, and as the glaciers will melt, sea level will rise. Secondly, thermal expansion of the water also happens. So when the water is heated, the water expands, thermal expansion. So right now the sea level rise is happening primarily because of two reasons: melting of glacial ice and the expansion of the water. Now this report also mentions about the cryosphere. Now these keywords are actually asked many number of times in the exam. What is cryosphere? Cryospheres is Earth's ice cover, and the report says that the cryosphere or the Earth's ice cover is also getting thin. Now what are included in cryosphere? Such kind of question can also be asked in the prelims examination. So cryosphere includes the Arctic region, it includes the Antarctic region, okay, it includes the glaciers, the ice which is there in Greenland, Antarctica ice cover, okay, seasonal snow cover. For example, if you will go to Shimla, if you will go to some other parts of the Himalaya, okay, Uttarakhand, there are snow which stays there for 2, 3, 4 months. So that seasonal snow will be covered. Permafrost. What is permafrost? Permafrost is the land, it is the mass of land that remains below 0 degrees Celsius for at least 2 straight regions. Okay, so when we go towards the parts of Russia, the parts of Siberia, there is a lot of land which is permanently under the ice, okay, or permanently under the temperature below than 0 degrees Celsius, permafrost. So cryosphere is thinning, and cryosphere includes Arctic, Antarctic, seasonal ice, permafrost, glaciers, all these things. Okay, now the impacts of increasing sea level rise are pretty obvious to most of us, but what are again the impacts? Let's see. So it is being said that as uh, as at the global sea mean level is increasing, as the oceans water is increasing in the oceans the temperature are also increasing. Now guys, you might have read about the cyclones. So basically the hot waters or the increased temperature of the ocean water, it is a very conducive condition for cyclone. So what happens, as the ocean temperature is increasing, cyclonic activity will increase, and as cyclonic activity will increase, the coastal communities will be largely impacted by these kind of cyclones, and therefore largest impact will happen on India, South Africa. Okay, moreover, the article is also saying that as the sea level is rising, there is impact that has also been observed into the Sundarbans delta. Now Sundarban is the world's biggest mangrove forest. Okay, so we see this particular thing, that what has happened, the world's largest mangrove area, here there is a sea level coastal erosion that is happening. Many of the islands, they have completely got submerged under the water, and as islands are getting submerged, the local communities have to leave those islands and have to relocate at some other places. So these are all the major impacts that are there. Okay, now moving to the next article. Mindless violence. Mindless violence. Now this particular article, guys, again we'll see with respect to the GS paper number 3, internal security issues. Internal security issues, internal security concerns. Now, basically, guys, you might have heard about the Naxalism or Naxalite activities. Now, what is the Naxalite activity? So basically, guys, the Naxalite activities started around 1967 in the Naxalbari village of West Bengal. Naxalbari. So Naxalbari village of West Bengal. this movement got started, and from here this gets the word Naxalism or Naxalites. Now see this thing, basically the demand of, see what actually happened. Basically, as development started to come in the forested regions, okay, there were certain of the people living in the forest. They said this particular thing, that our, they said that our jal, jungle and Jameen is getting threatened. Jal, jungle and Jameen. To understand this thing, Maoist, now the Naxalite movement in India, sometimes they are also called as a Maoism, Maoist movement. Why? Because they believe very closely in the ideology of Mao. Now, if you remember, the Mao said power flows out of the barrel of the gun. Okay, so Mao very much believed in the bloody revolution to bring any change. And the Maoist, or these Naxalites also, they believe in the philosophy of Mao. So many number of times we also call them as Maoist. So understand this thing, that around 1967, in the Naxalbari village of the West Bengal, some of the people, they feel disheartened, they feel contented, because it was said that now the developmental activities that are coming, they are threatening our Jal, Jungle and Jameen. Okay, Jal means water, Jungle means forest and Jameen means land. And this particular battle started. Okay, over the years, guys, what has happened, that discontent have changed. Discontent is like this, that government is not at all interested in their concern. Government is interested in their own concerns, their land. Government wants that their land should be given to the corporates. Government wants that their natural resources should be exploited so that the government can get the money. This is a kind of a discontent that has developed in them. Now, over the years, guys, what has happened, these Naxalites, they have simply, this particular organization has turned into a kind of an opportunistic organization, where the concerns of people is now not primary. Rather, the concern is to be themselves in the power. Okay, and all from time now, when we talk about these Naxalites, they have been fighting against the government. Why? Because they wanted to create an alternative system against the government. Okay, and many number of times we also call them as the left-wing extremist. Now, guys, what actually has happened? Government has taken up, government has taken a very well-planned strategy to take down these Maoist and Naxalite movements. And in this particular capacity, guys, just 2 years back, even the Home Minister said this particular thing, that various states which were under the influence of Naxalisms, now they have been rescued from that. And the Home Minister said this particular thing, that, a minute, they have said that basically the states and the villages which were under the Maoist influence, they have been reduced. So earlier 96 districts in 10 states were influenced with the Maoist activity in 2010, and we have reduced these 96 districts to just 41 districts in 2021. So this is a success of the government of India against this Maoist and Naxalites. Now, guys, understand this thing, that these Maoists, their idea is to create a red corridor between the India. They want to divide the north part, south part, and between that they want to create a red corridor. Okay, so this is the Maoist agenda. Now, basically, that what actually has happened, so there was a kind of a reduction in the Maoist activity that is going on, but just a couple of days back, we have seen this particular thing, that, fine, a minute. So just a couple of days back, we have seen this particular thing, that in the South Bastar, on the Odisha Andhra border, sorry, or in the South Bastar, they have attacked on District Reserve Guard team. In South Bastar, they have attacked onto the District Reserve Guard team. Okay, and these basically personals, they were returning from a counter-insurgency operation. Now, this attack that has happened, this attack shows that still the Maoists are very much active in the central India, and we should not take down the guard that they have become inactive. Moreover, it is being said that first of all, what happened, these personals, okay, they went to bring down the Maoist activity that was going on, and when they were returning back, they were attacked. So there is also one more angle that is opening up, that this attack was a fake attack that was deliberately created to call the armed personals here in their vicinity. Now, when we talk about the Maoist and when we talk about these Naxalites, what is the principal way in which they attack? The principal way of their attack is guerrilla warfare. Now, what is guerrilla warfare? Guerrilla warfare means that suddenly these fighters will come and they will they will put the opponent in shock. What will happen? Suppose the armed forces are going from the jungle. Suddenly they will come out of nowhere. They will make a lot of sound. They will try to confuse the armed forces and they suddenly will make an attack. So this is a guerrilla warfare activity. Now, who takes the guerrilla warfare activity? Guerrilla warfare activity is taken in the places where you have a very good knowledge of the geography and when you don't have the strength to organize yourself in a kind of a organized military type of thing, then the guerrilla warfare is used. Now understand this thing, since 1960s Naxalite activity is going on and even till today they rely on the guerrilla warfare. This particular thing shows that till now the Naxalites, they have not been able to get the support of the tribal communities. Still tribal communities are not ready to support them. Why? Because number one, these Naxalites, they themselves have a kind of an incoherent as well as the outdated ideology, and even tribal people have understood that these Naxalites are trying to unduly influence the tribal people for their own gain, own vested interest. So even the tribals are not ready to support them. Okay, now the article is saying this particular thing, that diligent security actions obviously would have curbed their presence outside of their stronghold where they are in the central India. Now the article is saying this particular thing. Let's see, it is not just the tough terrain, it is not just the tough topography that has been an obstacle in defeating the Maoist in the South Bastar. Moreover, there is also, it is being said that still a large number of tribal people are still alienated from the government. Now see this thing, that when we talk about these Maoists, these Naxalites, why they are still continuing there? Because in some limited capacity they have the support of the local tribal people, even they get their tribal youth which become the part of their militia. So point is that this activity though has come down, but it is still continuing, still alive. It is because that we have not been able to get the total support of the tribal. Now why? Because still guys, in the tribal regions there are the discontentment. Okay, proper planned development has not actually happened there. Okay, so this is something that has happened. Now the article is saying this particular thing, that in the years of counter-insurgency that we have made against the Maoists, hard-edged strategies of creating wedges among the tribal people to defeat Maoists have been counterproductive. Now, what we have done? We have tried to create division, the wedge between the tribal people and Maoist. Many number of times, some of the tribals, they used to sympathize with the Maoist, but we have tried to create a wedge between them. But this particular thing has not been completely successful because the activity is still continuing. So government now should try to win the support and the confidence of the tribal people, so that the tribal people provide the relevant intelligence to the government as well as the forces that are there, and by that particular intelligence, which can only be given by the tribal people, this Maoist activity can be completely been eradicated. Okay, so this is all guys about this particular article. Now moving to the next article. Should India consider phasing out nuclear power? Should India consider phasing out nuclear power? Now, guys, this particular article we'll see with respect to GS paper number 3, energy infrastructure. GS paper number 3, energy infrastructure. Okay, now see, basically what has happened around the world, there is a renewed interest that is coming in the nuclear power plants. Okay, some countries are moving towards it, some countries are actually abandoning also. Let's see the developments that are happening on the nuclear power plants. Now first of all, we'll take the example of Germany. What Germany has done? Germany has shut down the last of its nuclear power plant. This is one thing that is happening. Secondly, when we talk about the France, guys, France is one of a major supplier of the nuclear reactors to many of the countries. So the France, which is called as a nuclear powerhouse of the world, it is struggling to replenish its stock of the aging reactors. Okay, solar and wind power is becoming more and more popular. So countries such as Germany, now they want to transition towards natural gas as well as wind and solar, but not towards the nuclear. But if we come on the other side of the spectrum, when we come to the opposite side of the spectrum, we are seeing this particular thing that China China is surging on the nuclear power. China wants to deploy more and more nuclear power for the electricity needs. When we talk about South Korea has provided this particular thing that they will bring 30% of the electricity by the nuclear energy by 2030. So in the energy mix, 30% of the electricity or energy will come from the nuclear energy, South Korea. Secondly, when we talk about the Japan, now guys, Japan has the country which have always been averse to the nuclear power and the nuclear technologies. And now understand, now when we talk about the Japan has already completely shut down their nuclear reactor after the Fukushima disaster. Now Japan is again restarting their nuclear power plants for a kind of for viable energy and electricity. Okay, now first of all we see that there is mixed reactions about the nuclear energy. Now nuclear energy, why there is so much of suspicion, why there is so much of resistance? It is because of the safety concerns. Safety concerns, nuclear proliferation. Okay, if a nuclear accident happens, if nuclear meltdown happens, now we have seen already the Chernobyl nuclear power plant meltdown in 1986 that happened in the Soviet Russia. So thousands and thousands of people can be killed. A lot of devastation can be brought by the nuclear power plant failure. There is nuclear proliferation fear also. Some countries can take the uranium or such kind of radioactive material saying that we want to make electricity, but they can use it for making bombs. Okay, and such kind of concerns have been there. Now guys, when we talk about in the context of India, we are also trying to explore more and more nuclear power. Right now guys, we have around 2 to 3% of our electricity that is coming from the nuclear power plants. Okay, so some of the data's 2 to 3% of electricity that is coming from the nuclear power plants. Now, from the past few days, the India-France issue on the nuclear power plant is coming in the news. Now, when we talk about majorly the India, concern of India is with respect to the nuclear liability when the nuclear power plants are concerned. Now, right now, guys, India is negotiating from nearly past 10 years the Jatpur nuclear power plant deal. Now, the Jatpur is in Maharashtra and the Jatpur nuclear power plant will be 9900 megawatt, 9900 megawatt power plant. Now, we are procuring equipment for that from the France, but there is one contention, that is civil nuclear liability. Civil nuclear liability. Now, what is the civil nuclear liability? Guys, see, I have given you the example of 1986 Chernobyl nuclear accident where thousands of people were killed. So after this, there were many of the nuclear conventions that were signed, and one of nuclear convention that came out was Convention on Supplementary Compensation. Now this Convention on Supplementary Compensation, it was adopted in 1996. India has also signed it and ratified it. India has ratified this particular convention in 2016. Now, as per this Convention on Supplementary Compensation, it is provided that before you start a nuclear power plant, you need to create a pool of money which will be used in case a nuclear accident happens. So a pool of money is to be created before a nuclear power plant is to be started. That is the civil nuclear liability. Now guys, this Convention on Supplementary Compensation provides that a minimum amount is to be created as a pool. However, this particular minimum amount can also be increased by the public fund. Government can also contribute the money. Now, when we talk about India, India has also signed this Convention on Supplementary Compensation, and in order to implement it, India has also come out with the Civil Liability for Nuclear Damages Act 2010. Now, this Civil Liability for Nuclear Damages Act 2010, it clearly provides that in case of a nuclear accident, if it happens, then no fault liability will be imposed on the operator of the nuclear power plant. It means if a nuclear accident happens, then the operator, okay, they have to pay the money, they have to pay the liability. Okay, now first of all, understand who is operator in the context of India. NPCIL, National Power Nuclear Power Corporation India Limited. It is the operator. So operator has to pay money. Now understand this thing, as per the CLNDA, Civil Liability for Nuclear Damages Act, NPCIL will pay up to 1500 crore rupees. Beyond, if 1500 crore rupees are to be given, then the government will bring the pool of money around 2100 to 2300 crore rupees can be brought by the government. So by this particular way, we will compensate in the case of the nuclear accident. Okay, good. But under this CLNDA, India has imposed one more provision. Under the CLNDA, India has brought one more provision, that is right to recourse. Right to recourse. Now, what is this meaning of right to recourse? Right to recourse means that NPCIL, the operator of India, the operator of nuclear power plant in India, can take a recourse, can ask for the money which it has paid in compensation from the supplier of the nuclear equipment, Now, when we talk about the Jaipur nuclear power plant, France is the supplier of the reactors. France is a supplier of equipment. So NPCIL can ask the money from the supplier, that is from the France. Now, this is something which France is not ready to accept. France says this particular thing, that if we accept it, on us unlimited liability will fall. On us unlimited liability will fall. You have to pay 5000 crore rupees, you will ask this money from us. Moreover, if we give this money in India, then other countries will also ask such kind of protection from us. So France is not very much ready, and because of this particular thing, this deal has been struck between the India and France. This is the entirety. Now, the article is saying this particular thing, that see, when we talk about the nuclear energy, though there are the dangers of safety related to the nuclear energy, but at the same time, the nuclear energy is an alternative to coal power. Right now, we have around 210 gigawatt of coal capacity, okay, which generates around 73% of electricity in India. Nuclear power is just 3.2%. Okay. Now, guys, one more thing I am telling you, that when we talk about the datas, sometimes there are the differences in the datas also. Okay. But on an average, we know this particular thing, that more than 50% of electricity is anyhow coming from the coal powered plants in India. Okay, but nuclear's share is just around 3.2%. Okay, the point that is coming here is that, guys, that we need to ensure more and more nuclear power. But why nuclear power is so much less? Why just 3%? It is because nuclear power is just the monopoly of a state. All the nuclear power plants will be operated by the Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited. Now, see, in the thermal power plant, coal power plant, we have brought the private sector. So even in the nuclear, we should bring the private sector with the due diligence. Okay, this is something. Now the article is saying that we have also taken the target of net zero. Okay, net zero target we have taken, we want to achieve it till 2070. So for that particular thing, at least 100 gigawatts by 2050 we will need from nuclear. So therefore we need to promote the nuclear technologies. Fine. Now moving to the next article. Okay. Now, not by Vande Bharat alone. Now this article will see with respect to the GS paper number 3, transportation sector plus infrastructure. Okay, very good article, and a very good article. Fine, you will get a lot of value addition out of it. Okay, now let's start with this particular article. So guys, we have seen this thing, that recently government has started the Vande Bharat railways, Vande Bharat Express railways in many parts of the countries. Okay, recently in the southern India also, the Vande Bharat train has been flagged up. Okay, now, so what government is doing? Government is successfully introducing the Vande Bharat trains in the various parts of the country. And we are saying that this is a success of Indian Railways. But just introducing the new Vande Bharat train will not ensure the success of entire railways. There are many complex challenges that are plaguing the Indian Railways. We need to identify those challenges as well as we need to rectify those challenges also. Then only the Indian Railway will become a kind of a then only Indian Railways development and Indian Railway as the most important carrier can emerge. Though it is still now, but still these problems are needed to be rectified. Now see, when we talk about the railways, we already have eliminated the railway budget. Okay, so earlier the railway budget was separate, general budget was separate, but now both general budget and railway budget has been merged 2017 onwards. And it has been said that why this particular activity what will happen? There was always a populism that was attached with the railway. See, separate railway budget was there. So because of that particular separate exercise, always government needs to ensure that they not increase the tariff. They need to start the railway lines also. They want to start the railway services also onto the unviable routes. So it became a populistic exercise. We removed it, we merged it with the general budget, and since then many other reforms also have been taken up in Indian railways. Okay, we are ramping up greater investments into the railways. Okay, increased budgetary support is given to the railways, more budgeting is being given, more investments are being brought, institutional borrowings are being taken up by the railways so that they can enhance their infrastructure, so that they can enhance their uh, their tracks, railway coaches, everything. Now see this thing, that when we talk about right now, there are the unprecedented investment that is going on in the rail infrastructure, which is a very good thing. But understand this thing, we should not measure only the money that is going on in investment. Rather, we also need to see that what is the outcome of that particular investment, whether that particular investment is bringing some outcome or not. So outcome also needs to be seen. Okay, because if we don't see the outcome, then it will not serve any purpose. So therefore, performance of Indian Railway needs to be evaluated from time to time. Then only we will see that additional money that we are putting, whether it is helpful or not. Now, understand this thing, that government of India has already come out with the National Rail Plan 2030. Now, what is this National Rail Plan 2030? It aims to increase the rail share in freight traffic from 27% to 45% by 2050. Now see this thing, that right now guys, when we talk about the major transportation, still it is happening through the trucks and through the roads, because the railways are very slow, they are expensive, they are very much erratic. Okay, so therefore a lot of transportation is happening through the roads, the trucks. But we want to increase the share of the railways from 27% to 45% by 2050. Moreover, the average speed of goods trains needs to be increased to at least 50 km per hour from 25 km per hour. So it is very slow. Moreover, the tariff also I told you are very high. So tariffs are to be reduced by 30%. Reduce the tariff, increase the speed, increase the share of railway in freight. This is something that we need to bring. But actually, if we see the progress of railways now, there is no evidence, that higher level of traffic is being achieved. There is no evidence that we will reach these particular target. Okay, Indian Railway is at or near the starting block. Much progress has not happened, okay, with respect to the National Rail Plan of 2030. Now, guys, at the same time, when we talk about the railway, so one component of railway is freight or cargo, goods train, and one component of railway is the passenger component. Now, when we talk about the passenger component, the biggest problem on the passenger part is the punctuality. So, punctuality happens to be the most important operational index. But we know that most of the times the railways are not on time. Now, when we talk about the punctuality, guys, the railways see destination punctuality. Fine, destination punctuality, which means suppose you take a train from Delhi to Mumbai, and let's say you are taking the train from Delhi at 10 a.m. in the morning, and you are expected to reach 10 p.m. next day in Mumbai. So punctuality will be seen that whether your train is reaching at 10 p.m. or not. If it is reaching at 11 p.m., then 1 hour delay. Okay, but what about that whether train is starting at the right time from the place of origin? That also needs to be seen, but we don't see that. So destination punctuality is something that is seen. But now the article is saying that when we talk about the punctuality is needed to be seen, that whether the train started on right time, intermediate stations that are there in between, whether there the train is reaching on the right time or not. This is something that is needed to be seen. Moreover, then there are also other issues in the railways. For example, financial performance. Most of the times, railways, you might be knowing, that stays in the losses. So operational losses are very huge. So financial performance is not very good. Physical performance is not very much good. Often we see that the rail coaches, they are worn out. Rail coaches, they don't have very good fitments. Many number of times these are the issues. Safety, okay, human resource issue, project execution, customer relation, dedicated freight corridors are not there. Often there are the same line that is being used for the freight as well as the passengers. Okay, so these are all the issues that needed to be taken up. Now, there is actually this very good recommendation that has been given in the article, which is very, very good. You can use it directly in your answer. So the recommendation that is coming here is that, guys, see, that right now, though the separate budget of the railway has been removed, we need to consider tabling an annual report on the performance of the railways in the parliament, where the numbers will be put in parliament, that how much investment was made, what is the outcome of that particular investment. All these particular data and numbers need to be placed in the parliament, as we have economic survey every year. So like the economic survey, a detailed report on the functioning of railways also needed to be placed. This is going to be a very good thing which can be done. Okay, so these are, guys, all the issues with respect to the railways. Fine, I hope that you have understood it. Now moving to this next article, Darwin must stay in Indian school textbooks. Now this particular article, guys, we'll see with respect to the GS paper number 2, issues related to education. Now what this article is actually talking about, guys, see, recently you might have seen that NCRT textbooks have been revised, and many references about the Mughal rulers that were there in the NCRT textbooks, these references have been removed. Okay, now this has been criticized by the academic community. Now one more thing actually has happened, that from the NCRT textbook, the reference of Charles Darwin's theory of evolution has been dropped. Now, when we talk about the Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, it has provided a scientific explanation about the evolution of the species. He has provided that the natural selection, okay, the species who were best surviving, fine, they actually has survived. And the Charles Darwin theory of evolution has explained not only the evolution of humans, but the evolution of the insects, other animals, all such things have been explained. Now what actually has happened, so recently, basically when we see, guys, in 2018, the Union Minister of Human Resource and Development said that Darwin's theory of evolution is scientifically wrong, and had demanded that it should be removed from Indian schools and colleges curriculum. Now NCRT, what has done, it has dropped the Darwin's theory from the class 9th and class 10 syllabus. Okay, this is something that has happened. Now there is one viewpoint that is coming, that Union Minister of HRD had said that it is scientifically wrong. Now is it a scientific fact, or is it just an opinion of the minister? First of all, we need to consider that. And secondly, see, guys, it has been said that when we talk about the Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, often the oppositions to this theory comes from the idea that there is an intelligent designer who had created this world. Now see this thing, how this world was created. There can be two explanations. Number one, there is the God, an intelligent designer who made this world. Another is that God is not there. This world has come in existence through the laws of nature, through the laws of nature. Now, the Charles Darwin theory was explaining that the world has not been created by God, rather the world has been created by the laws of nature. The point is that when Darwin's theory will not be there in the books, then the students will automatically be inclined that the God or the life in this world has come in existence by an intelligent designer only. Now, the point is that I'm not saying that that is wrong, this is true, or this is true, or that is wrong. No, no, that is not the case. The thing that we are talking about is that the students should have access to all the ideas, the opposing ideas, counterproductive counter ideas, all the ideas students should be exposed. So now understand this thing, that when we talk about many of the students, they don't take the sciences after the 10th class. So never the students will be reading the theory of evolution. So this is something which should not have happened. Now, when we talk about the philosopher Bertrand Russell, Bertrand Russell says about the Darwin's theory that it was essentially an extension to the animal and vegetable world of laissez-faire economics. Okay, so such an importance has been given to that. We should not have dropped it. This is all about this article. Now moving to the next article. Okay, soon Indian Army to raise cyber operation and supports wing. So we'll see this thing with respect to the GS paper number 3. Security, internal security as well as external security of India. Fine. Now, guys, actually in this article, what actually has come, fine. So just last week, Army Commanders Conference was held. Last week, Army Commanders Conference was held. And this Army Commanders Conference has decided that we will operationalize the Command Cyber Operations and Support Wing. Now understand this thing, cyber warfare, okay, hacking of the critical infrastructure of the opponent country. okay, deliberately instilling the malware in the security systems of the other country, this is becoming a new dimension of warfare. This is becoming a new dimension on which the war will be fought. So we need to have the readiness with respect to the cyber operations. So ACC Army Commanders Conference had said that we will operationalize command cyber operations and support wing, fine, with current in the immediate future, with current focus on net-centric operations, internet-centric operations. Secondly, it has also been provided that the technical entry scheme for the BTech and engineers, the technical entry scheme will be reduced to 4 years. Right now, it is of 5 years. It will be reduced to 4 years. Then the we will train the soldiers for Paralympic events. Okay, sustenance allowance. Okay, now understand this thing. Basically, sometimes there are the armed forces personals who who become martyr in the action, and then they have the specially abled children. So sustenance allowances in that particular case will be doubled through the Army General Insurance Fund. So these are some of the decisions that have been taken up. Okay, now guys, you are not required to go and track the technical entry scheme 5 years, 1 year forward, 2 year forward, 3 year forward. Fine, that is about it. Now this is guys all about it. Now further moving to the main practice question for today. So the question for today: discuss the issues faced by the Indian Railways along with the measures taken by the Indian government. So this will be for GS paper number 3, infrastructure. Okay. So that is all guys about this particular article. And with this, we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. Guys, I hope that you are liking this particular video, and now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much. Okay, and meanwhile, a very good morning, guys, to all of you. Vipin, Donia, Anurag, Ujjal, Palak, Anjana, Anujika, yes, Anujika, Rajshekhar, Vision, Ganesh, Sehran, Nandan, Kanishka, Sai Ganesh, Monish, Rishi. A very good